Hi everybody, welcome back to Sports Company. In today's podcast, we will be speaking with Sharba Tasneem. Sharba is working with Meraki Sport and Entertainment as business head talent and programs. Over the years, Sharba has worked on various campaigns. She's worked with various athletes, various brands, various important decision makers. And she's closely observed how the industry treats women, how it is like to work with women athletes, how it is like to support women athletes, how it is like to build an environment where women athletes can excel. Let's find out more about Sharba's journey so far. Hi Sharba, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Hi, Akshita. Thank you so much for having me today.
Sharma, I'll start with the most basic question first. How did you get into the world of sports?
I was very fortunate, to come from a background, to go to a school which had like a proper playground, which had a basketball court, which had a throw ball, a volleyball court, a five-a-side football court. So I was very fortunate that sport was exposed to me right in my childhood. And it was a major part of my growing up days. So when I was in school also, I was very active as an athlete. So I was there in athletics. And then when I was 13 years old, I took up basketball. I also managed to play some touch rugby and came actually to Mumbai when I was 16, to play at the Bombay Gymkhana, which is like the major hub for rugby in India. So I have been very fortunate that sports was introduced right at the beginning of my childhood. And then from there on, I was playing in my college as well. I was actually doing my economic honors that time. And when I was deciding as to what next, I realized that sport was something that I wanted to fall back on because I captained the team. I captained my throwball team in the state throwball matches. I realized that two things that really caught my attention. One was self awareness, that I was not the captain because of how good I was playing, because I was not the best player in the team. But it was just the environment that I would create for others to play in, like just getting the team together, just the leadership skills, just the things that sport teaches us beyond your school, beyond the classroom, basically. So I think it was those skill sets that stayed with me. Just getting together 10, 12 players of different mentality. Having a quality that is helpful, like just sportsmanship, leadership. So I felt that that's something that I should hone, and that's something that I should focus on. And the other thing, the reason why I got into sport from a managerial side of things was just when I was playing and I was an athlete, I came across just the state of sport in India, and specifically for female athletes, like just going in there and sharing a huge hall with 50 other athletes, and you're just sleeping on the floor on mattresses that were being provided to you. So I think that sort of kicked in, saying that at that age you want to make a change and make a difference, and that sort of really stayed with me. And I thought that let's just give this a try and hone these skills and get into more of the sporting side, where I thought I could contribute more, because I didn't think I would contribute too much as a player. But yeah, I still play, but that's just leisure, that's just for fun, just to be in the sport. But yeah, those are the things that got me into staying with the sport. And on a professional side, where I then got a professional degree, I did a year of college, I did sports management, and then I started working with Meraki. So that's really how I was introduced to the sport.
Sharba, you're working with Meraki as business head, talent and programs. Tell us, how did this journey of your life start, and what is your work like at Meraki?
So I started with Meraki in 2016, right after college. I did a little couple of internships here and there, and then I got the opportunity to work with Meraki Sport and Entertainment. So we are just to give everybody a little bit of a background, we are a sport marketing company, and the core of the business is essentially to consult with brands, work with teams, work with athletes, and work with properties. So I have been working with them for 6 years. We are 7-year old. I am one of the oldest employee there, and I've just seen the company grow. And the reason why I've seen, and I'm very fortunate that I can say that there has been a huge growth for me as well, because I think the company only grows when the individual grows, right? So I have been growing with the company. I have had the opportunity to work across functions. So we are operating out of 6 verticals. So the digital side of it, the content side of it, the talent management side of it, marketing services, working with brands in the consulting space. So I've been very fortunate to work across functions. And I have led the KKR digital team in 2020. I was the team manager for Mumbai Rockets, that's a team in the Premier Badminton League, in 2016. I also worked on properties like Pedal Delhi, which is India's biggest cyclothon. So that happened in 2017 in Delhi, and then again we did it in 2018. So I was the project lead for that. Currently, I am working in a space that I am really enjoying. So I also manage the entire talent vertical for us. So we have about 16 athletes. One being the legend, Mr. Rahul Dravid, and 15 others being the Olympic and Paralympic champions. So we have athletes like Dipa Karmakar, Rohan Bopanna, Palak Kohli, para badminton champion, who's youngest Paralympian to go for the Paralympics last year. So some of the athletes that I manage, and I also work with Welspun Group uh, in their CSR space, which is the Welspun Supersport Women's Program. So more about that probably later. And also work with a female-led community called Sisters in Sweat, something we've just started working on. Very interesting that. So it's a community led by women, by women. It's for women, where you come in, you play with other women, and basically people like me who have stopped playing after college can just join them and just start from where we all left. So that's a really interesting community project that we are working on, trying to get them into more cities, trying to get all women who probably have not actually played a particular sport, get them into sport, who have left the sport, get them back into the sport. So it's a very interesting space, creating safe space for women to just play sport. So yeah, those are some of the things that I'm currently handling. So interesting stuff that's happening with me right now.
Sure, I know that the environment at Meraki is very safe, it's very gender neutral, and when we come from an environment such as this, we tend to observe discrimination a tad bit more than others do. So, tell us if you have ever experienced any kind of discrimination because you're a woman, or if your opinions were sometimes ignored because people thought that they didn't matter.
I think you bring out a great fact, Akshata, that the environment at Meraki is really a safe space while having a lot of guys work. Like, we know that it's a male dominated industry. We actually try and make sure that we hire women. We encourage hiring women, not just because they are women, of course, but because of the skill sets that you are looking at. We encourage more female coming into the organization. I myself have a team of 4 people. The core 4 people that I work with, 3 of them are female. So what happens is, actually, see, I've never felt that, okay, my opinion is not taken into consideration because I'm of a certain gender. I think that's not something that I've experienced, to be very honest. I think it's what you say. Whether it's a solution for a brand, they'll take it into consideration. If it's solving a problem, they'll take it into consideration. If it's not solving anybody's problem, they'll just hear you out and probably move away from it. But what I actually have seen in my limited experience of managing talent, so managing talent, what happens is that a lot of times you're dealing with entrepreneurs, you're dealing with CMOs, and these are men with huge experience. And I'm not somebody who has like huge experience of 30-40 years. I am myself 28 years old. So when they see a girl, like a girl, not a woman, they see a girl who's 28, who's managing certain portfolio of athletes and negotiating across the table, I think somewhere it hits them that okay, do we talk to somebody else? Is she the right person to speak to? So they tend to get in touch with my co-founders, so Toshan or Ajit, the guys. They tend to get in touch with them, and they start conversation. The conversation starts with them suddenly, and then I get a call from them saying, something. Okay, he's called me. Can you speak to him? I said, I'm already speaking to them, and I don't know why they get in touch with my co-founders, because I feel somewhere their male ego. I don't know if it's the male ego or what it is, that they just feel that I might not be the right person to speak to. And they eventually have to get back to me because I'm the project lead. I am the one who's having the conversations with the athletes. So that's something that I have definitely felt. And also, just because of the gender, you tend to uh, compartmentalize women as assistant to an athlete versus guys who are called managers. So that's something again that, because of the gender, this is again a notion that people have, that okay, she's a secretary or she's an assistant, as just loosely using those terms. Like it does go a long way, like just the way you communicate to people, it does go a long way. So that's something that I have felt, that people tend to put you in a box given the gender that you are, and not the work that you do.
Sharba, you work with a lot of athletes, you work with a lot of teams, you work with sponsors, important decision makers. So you've seen a lot of aspects and you've understood a lot of mindsets in the sports industry. Tell us, what do you think can be done or should be done to make sure that a lot more women enter this industry and are welcomed in this industry?
Right. So, I mean, in my limited experience, like I said, I have seen quite a bit. I have worked quite extensively with brands. I've worked with athletes. I think I have also seen more female participation in sport, because just the Tokyo Olympics that happened last year had a huge gender balance. So as opposed to last Olympics, we had the largest female contingent go for the Olympics. Now, when something like that happens at the top, right, it has a trickle down effect, where more when you see more women, you get more girls to get into the sport. They want to be like a Deepa, they want to be like a Mirabai Chanu. So I think it's the representation at top that really changes the participation at the bottom, right? And even for me, what the education part, like you're asking me, what needs to change? I think the mindset needs to change, of how you talk to a girl, how parents talk to a girl, how teachers talk to a girl, how a coach talks to a girl. Because when you tell her that whether you can or cannot do something, it does have an effect on that girl, right? You have to, like, earlier there was this mindset that why are you going and playing outside? You'll get a tan, you'll not get married. Who's gonna marry you? Because I myself have experienced this a lot. Playing basketball, getting tanned, everyone is like, why are you going, why are you doing this? So I think the way you talk to a girl has a huge repercussions in the future also, just from a confidence point of view, a self-esteem point of view. I think that really needs to change. It's changing also even in the brand communications. I think more brand are coming up with campaigns where you are showcasing as to these are normalizing these things, going out, playing sport, falling down, getting a scar, going back up, getting on with your life. Because we need to realize that these things will never be the reason why somebody is hired, why somebody is getting married. It's all the other things. It's your core skill sets. It's how you talk is what determines us. So I think that has changed. That needs to change. That has been we have been evolving in that space a lot, but certainly we need to be more. We need to work better. We need to work more on doing that.
Can you tell us some of your favorite campaigns that you worked on with women athletes?
I actually have two. So one is, of course, when Barbie came up with a one of a kind doll on its 60th anniversary. So when Mattel Barbie turned 60, they honored 20 women across the globe, including only one. Only one woman from India. That was Dipa Karmakar, the gymnast. Why was it so special? Was not because she was just a female being honored with a one of a kind doll which looked like her. She was also the first athlete, male or female, to have such a one of a kind of a doll. So even your biggest cricketer, male cricketer, doesn't have his own one of a kind doll. So that was really, really special for us at Meraki, that one of our athletes got that recognition. And at that point of time, I did not realize, I don't think Deepa realized how big that was. It was when it was launched and when people started calling her and everybody was like, do you actually have this doll? Because we want to buy it. She realized how big of a deal it was. So that's something that is really, really close to us. And the other thing is, of course, the current work that we do with Western Supersport Women. Very, very close to my heart. So, 4 years ago, we started working with them, and we actually structured the entire Western Supersport Women's program with their CSR team. Now we are supporting 32 female athletes. 60% of them are from the grassroots level. So we are supporting athletes that you might have even heard of, right? And they, in the next 2 years or 3 years, they will be representing India at the international level. So we are actually looking at athletes not who are at the podium, but who will make it to the podium in the next 3 years. We also have an advisory board which is comprising of Aparna Popat, ex badminton player, uh, Deepti Patwardhan, and also the Miss Dipali Goenka, who's the chairman of Wellspun Group. So we have this all women's board, all women's program. We constantly make sure that what we are doing is making an impact on their career. So with nutrition, with a sports psychologist, we have a full-time sports psychologist who is on the program, making sure that she's talking to the athletes as and when they need. We have a nutritionist who's making sure the athletes are following the right diet when they go for their training. And I think uh, just a small example of how it basically gives you fulfillment that you're doing the right thing. There is an athlete called Kamli Murthy. She's 14 years old. She's a skateboarder. She's a surfer, and she surfs in Mahabalipuram, very small region in Tamil Nadu. So when we actually started supporting her, her funds first went into her getting deworming tablets. So when this was told to us that because of the funds we were able to purchase deworming tablets, and now she's actually gaining weight. So this is because of you guys that such a thing has happened. So it's very fulfilling to just know that you are creating impact somewhere in a small, in a big way. So yeah, that's just very fulfilling for me to work on something like that.
Sharba, can you throw some light on how are these brands nowadays perceiving women athletes? Are they more open now to include women athletes as brand ambassadors and design campaigns around that?
So I think the way the brands are looking at this is far more progressive than what they were doing a couple of years back. I think everybody, I would say that brands have no choice but to get on to the brand, just to get on the thing of being more inclusive in their communication, having a little bit of a more understanding of having more representation in their communication of female athletes or women in general for that matter. So I think what we were a couple of years ago, I think that is changing, because obviously you see more representation at the top, so you have to include that as a brand in your communication as well. And it is happening. It has been happening. We have seen brands even come up with specific female only programs, right? Because they are it's a big part of social inclusion, gender equality. These are the conversations that we are having right now. These are the conversations that you cannot shy away from. So as a brand, you also need to showcase that you represent these things, you represent these values, because it's only authenticity that will get you somewhere. When it comes to consumer, being with you, being loyalty, these are some of the factors that consumers see. So if you do not do what you say, then consumers see through that, and then therefore they obviously are more loyal towards you. So if you are saying that in my usually that's the case, like brands are saying that our employment is 50%, being more equitable basically in their employment. Therefore some part of it also translates to the communication that happens in the outward communication to consumers. So it is not a choice for brands basically to think that we should or shouldn't do it. There is no choice, they have to do it, because that's what everybody is looking at, seeing how much, what do you stand for as a brand. So yeah, I mean it has changed over the year, and I think there's more work that needs to be done, but yeah, it's a good thing that it's happening.
Sharba, lastly, one message for women out there who are looking to make a career in women's sports.
I think it's about just going for it. Don't question yourself. Just write that, just send that CV, just put in the resume, just reach out to organizations. Let nobody tell you that this is too big an organization for you to be a part of, or no, you're just starting, don't apply here, or don't listen to people. Let the rejection come to you. You don't think that no, I'm not good enough for for this role or for this job. I think unfortunately that's just how it is for us women, that we tend to question too much, we tend to doubt ourselves too much, as opposed to a guy who's just, maybe he's not even cut out for the role and he's applying for it, and you never know what would have happened if you would have applied. So I think it's really about just going for it, just not caring what everybody's saying, because I've done that my entire life from the time I started working, that I just heard everybody, but I did what my gut feeling would tell me. And I think it's just about being a little bit more bolder in what we are doing. Yeah, so that's just the message I would want to give out to girls who are looking into getting into the sports industry.
Thank you so much, Sharba, for speaking with us today. Very grateful to you for your time.
Thank you so much, Akshita, for having me.